Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 175 of the Seezus Show. We're back with another fun-filled episode. A lot of breaking news, a lot of content has just kind of came out of nowhere. So we are extremely excited to, share our thoughts with these breaking news that has just, came about and whatnot as well too. Like I said, so before we get into today's hottest topic, just like to rehash previous episode. We essentially discussed major NBA headlines and NFL free agency kind of kicking off with a multiple franchise tag and a couple people getting released. So we've got a little bit more information, but we're gonna hold that for towards the end of the podcast. But like I said, before we start everything, I always gotta, give a grand introduction to the legend, the choice finest, the GOAT, the myth, Carl Conyers, ladies and gentlemen. Make some noise for Carl Conyers, man.
What's up, my guy?
How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Some crazy, really crazy stuff happened today.
Yeah, a lot of crazy things have kind of happened. And I'm excited to kind of, talk about it as well too. I'm gonna kind of do things out of reverse to an extent. So we can go ahead and get started, man. So we had Wilt Chamberlain, we had Kobe Bryant, obviously Wilt Chamberlain 100 points or whatever, Kobe Bryant 81 points. Some players have kind of tried to get close with Donovan Mitchell, Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, Joel Embiid. The list goes to that. But tonight, out of all players, out of all players, Carl Conyers and people that are listening, Bam Adebayo went for 83 points against the Washington Wizards in a 150 to 129 victory at home and played 42 minutes, 20 of 43 from the field, and was 7 of 22 from three-point line and attempted 43 free throws. What are your thoughts on this, Carl Conyers?
Sick, man. I ain't gonna hold you. This is real tough. Um, shout out to Bam. Let me not come off as a complete straight hater, but we were talking about this beforehand. It's like it was cool that the two highest scoring games were two iconic ass players.
Yeah.
And especially honestly, Kobe having that. Because Wilt seems so untouchable. So Kobe having that 81 also just kind of like added to his legend and I feel like added to the overall legend of the game. And so now you have a guy who's never even made an All-NBA team who's going to have like the second highest scoring game in NBA history for however long. I just think that's kind of whack. People going before you could look back at the records and be like, "Oh, damn, Kobe did that." It's gonna be more of like, oh, I can't. Bam did that. Like he's okay. That's wild.
Hmm.
But you know, all hate aside, shout out to bro. And shout out to the Wizards for being that ass. And
Yeah, Wizards were so bad, bro. They're so
yeah,
bad. But yeah, I told you before, like if you would have told me a year ago, 2 years ago, however long we've known each other, that the next person to get close, yet alone break Kobe's record, and be in that top three, and I guess he's top three now, just those two. If you would have told me it was gonna be Bam Adebayo, I'd have been like, "Yo, you're tripping." Um, he just, at least in my eyes, like obviously he's great at the role in which he plays, but he just doesn't come to mind as that three level type of score to kind of get you those buckets. Like it kind of made sense, right? When Donovan Mitchell, like I said, got 70, Luca at all people, and Joel Embiid with just how much of bag that they had, but Bam was kind of crazy. So it's low key a kind of a damn shame to the Wizards to just not really try with the product that they have out there. I know a couple people are a little bit upset as well too because they're like, oh, like when Kobe went to get 81 and all this other good stuff, like it was in within the flow of the game, nothing was kind of forced and whatnot. And like you kind of said too, like normally when you're up so much at that point, you're just resting, sitting down, and just watching from the sidelines. But yeah, Eric Spoelstra said, "Fuck it, you right there. Why not go for it? What else?" Like, so I can see how people would be upset. But if he was my teammate or if I was a coach and I saw that he was right there, I probably done the same thing as well too. So all I know is, like we say, he in history books right now, and I'm expecting 20 to 25 years from now, when we old and we got kids and on the potential to have grandkids, Bam out of bio on Asia Wilson, their kid better be the next big thing.
Bro, I saw something that now Asia has the has scored the most points in NBA history in a game, and now Bam has scored the second most points in NBA history in a game. So that's
Wow.
really nuts.
Wow. That's crazy. So yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to them as well too. Like I said, that's crazy. Another guy that also made history, speaking of Will Chamberlain again as well too, is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. So Oklahoma City's Thunder guard Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has matched Will Chamberlain's 63-year-old, ladies and gentlemen, NBA record by recording his 126th consecutive game with at least 20 points. He achieved this milestone the other night in a 129-126 victory against Denver Nuggets. So yeah, he tied that, and most likely he's gonna eclipse that in the way in which he scores. But another streak broken, man. What are your thoughts on this historic milestone?
I don't really this one to me is like,
It was meant to be. It's gonna happen.
well, yeah, but only from a standpoint of like there's been plenty of games in this streak, especially towards the end of the streak when they knew it was really a thing, where he was just like one of my friends summed it up perfectly, and it was like he's a 20-point merchant. There was just like in the games where it's like he's just forcing trying to score so he can get to 20 points.
Mm,
Um, so to me, that's kind of, it's still at the end of the day, it's cool. It's a nice accomplishment for him. But yeah, which granted, I don't have the time and I don't think they have the film to go back and see if Luke, not Luke, if Wilt at some point was potentially doing that, like really stat padding.
yeah,
But we haven't heard of that. So this just kind of means a little bit less when I actually know the context. But at the end of the day, when it comes to history, people aren't going to know that. So shout out to
yeah.
him.
Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to him. You know, you can call it how you want to call it, foul merchant, this and this and that. And I mean the fact that these games that they've kind of played leading up to are relatively like pretty competitive, and they've been going up against playoff caliber teams, potential conference finals teams, and to be gone from that oblique injury or whatever, and to just come back and still stay in rhythm is pretty amazing. And like you said, they're a little shorthanded. Obviously, they got a lot of talent on their side, but he's guaranteed to do it because you look at other players, LeBron, Kobe, all these guys, and you would think uh, they could get it, but no one's got it. So he's probably gonna hold that for quite some time. And I know there's gonna be a certain point in time there's gonna be someone that breaks it. I don't know who, but yeah, at the end of the day, man, records are meant to be broken. So yeah, he got that for quite some time. I mean, he has a chance to do what someone hasn't done in a while. Who's the last person to win back to back championships? Was it Steph Curry?
Yeah.
And then even before that, the last person to win not only back to back championships but MVPs, because it looks like he's the front runner right now. You can argue
Stephen
Wemby
Jokic.
and whatnot, but I think he's number one right now. Who was the
Stephen
last
Jokic.
person to? Steph Curry was the last person to do two MVPs
Well,
in a row,
no,
championship, two winter
Jokic.
championships.
Steph and Jokic were the last two. So Jokic was the most recent.
Okay, now I'm talking about if he ends up not only winning the MVP,
Oh,
but
but
also let's say running it back and getting to the finals. That's probably what MJ or something.
who's won two MVPs and two championships back to back?
Yeah, yeah, that would be
Yeah, I think that would probably have to be Jordan.
yeah. So that's pretty crazy with with so much like player movement that kind of happens and whatnot. I mean, he has a team to do it, and they should be the favorites, but that'll be pretty interesting. Even not that. Like, I'm more interested to see if another team can actually just two-peat in general. So, we'll
But
see what
real quick,
happens.
Steph did at least he won those two back-to-back MVPs and he made it to the finals the second
Finals.
year, but he didn't
Yeah,
win. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. So yeah, he'll be in some rare air for sure. And I know people are gonna already put him probably top 20, 25 at that point. Um, Jason Tatum returned. Obviously, last week we were kind of talking about that, Carl, and we didn't leading up to that, weeks leading up to that, we were like, should he come back? Should he not? But now he's back. 290-day absence due to ruptured right Achilles. March the 6th against Dallas, 15 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists in 27 minutes. And then following that, he played 2 days later against the Cavs, 20 points in 27 minutes, and another win. And then obviously tonight, around the same amount of minutes, 24 points. And 5 rebounds. Obviously, they didn't lose because of Jalen Brown incident and whatnot as well too. But now that he's finally here, what are your thoughts on everything? And what does this mean not only for him but for the Boston Celtics moving forward?
I mean, he's looked good for, someone in his situation. I think that it definitely means that they are more of a threat to come out of the East. I mean, I feel like for most of the season, it's like the conversation has just been about how weak the East is currently.
Yeah,
And I think they're primed to take advantage of that. They already were, I think they're like the 2 or the 3 seed. So they were already a great team. And of course, this is all the reason why he made sure he wanted to come back this year because it was like, oh, we're still in the thick of this. And unfortunately, my Pistons have been kind of going the opposite direction. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think it kind of makes them the favorite now, to be honest.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah, defensively he looks pretty solid. I think I was more surprised like the way his body was, the way he was just moving on the floor. It just seemed so fluid as well too. Obviously, he has to get his legs under him, and he has to find a rhythm with his teammates as well too. Some people were going to think he was going to come off the bench, but it looks like they were already well prepared for this. And he's in the starting five, and he's looking like, as far as like usage, he's kind of looking like the Tatum that we've grown accustomed to. The shot's going to get there, and even Reggie Miller was kind of talking as well too. Like for all the people who are in the analytics and all this and that, like it takes time when you come back from a major injury to get into the flow of things. So he got what 20 games left. Hopefully nothing else gets hampered from that major time off and that major injury. But yeah, man, I know I was kind of talking to you the other day through text, and I was like, I mean, I don't really know about their bench, but it seems like every night there's always someone else coming off the bench that I do not know of and is playing pretty good minutes as well too. So, um, yeah, we were talking about the East kind of being up for grabs. But yeah, like you said, you kind of have to lean towards them just because of what can happen, and bring back a superstar as well too. So it's looking a little scary, man. It's looking a little scary, but only time's gonna tell. Only time's gonna tell. Um, Speaking of an Eastern Conference team, this team was on a 4 game losing streak. Your Detroit Pistons, but obviously they won tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. Guaranteed win at that point. But aside
No,
from that,
no,
man.
no, no, because we've lost to a bad team during this losing streak. So there's nothing is off the board. Pretty sure it was the
No,
Wizards that we lost to.
lost to the Wizards. I'll try to let y'all niggas slide. But yes, 4 game losing streak before winning tonight. And this was, I believe, you guys' longest losing streak since the start of last season, 2024-25 season. Obviously, I think right now, you guys are 2.5 games behind the Boston Celtics. Still hold the number one seed at 46 and 18 as well. But is it should you guys be kind of concerned or whatnot, or is this just y'all going through the motions, just trying to get healthy and get ready for the playoffs?
Actually, in that the team that we lost to was the Nets. The Nets beat us
Oh
by
my,
2. So it was not a given that we was going to smack them tonight.
yeah. And
Um,
Cade was out that game though, right? I know Cade was out one game, or maybe was it against the
I
Wizards?
don't think he was out this game, bro.
Mm. No, he played tonight, but there was one game y'all also
No,
lost.
I know what you're talking about. That. Okay,
Hmm.
so he was out that game that we lost to
Okay.
the Nets, but still, it don't
Yeah.
matter. But yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I'm not actually any more concerned than I was around the trade deadline. I think this
Mm.
just put those concerns out into the open. I think that things that have plagued them during this losing streak, which is 4 games, is not, it's not anything crazy, but um, I think those are the things that are going to plague us during the playoffs. I think those are the things that have plagued us during the big games that we played so far in this season. And it's just the lack of shot creation outside of Cade, the lack of shooting in general on the team, and the lack of a real, at least, scorer off the bench or something like that. Somebody off the bench who can consistently score at multiple levels. Um, yeah, so to be honest with you, I think they will still probably have the best record in the East when the regular season is over, but I feel like the same amount of confidence I had in them after some of these big games and the trade deadline is the same now.
Yeah, y'all thrive so much. I mean, I know it's just a small sample size, but you guys thrive so much in transition because of your defense and the physicality in which you play with. Obviously, with Thompson kind of being out, that kind of, is going to fuck up your defense a little bit as well too. But like you said, the biggest things have, like you said, have been shooting, having spacing issues, and the offense is kind of the way in which the offense is centered around. At least when I kind of look at it, it kind of feels like Luke on the Mavs. It kind of feels like when James Harden was on the Rockets as well too, where you have this dominant player who is actually better than both of them as far as like playing off the ball, but he can't really afford to play off the ball like that with you guys. But yeah, he just has to do so much. And on top of that, he's arguably your best wing defender as well too. So as the season kind of wanes on, I'm getting a little nervous as well too. So I mean, I think you guys will I definitely have a favorable matchup in the first round, but once you kind of get to, depending on how things pan out, the Cavs of the world, the Knicks of the world, the Celtics of the world, that's going to be kind of scary as well too. But like you said, you kind of knew what was up. I mean, I think you guys kind of overachieved as well too, as far as the record. I knew you guys were going to get better, but I didn't think it was going to be like this dominant of a run for the regular season as well too. But um, yeah, uh, I'm a little nervous, but like you said, you kind of already know what's going on. But I feel like outside of Celtics though, bro, like even with the struggles that you guys kind of have been a part of these 4 games, and then even outside those 4 games, it's just something about the Knicks and being inconsistent this regular season, and then the Cavs being a little inconsistent. And I'm just like, yo, you guys could still get to the conference final. So, um,
Yeah, I definitely think we're gonna make it to the conference finals.
mhm.
That's for sure.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, I just don't think that we'll make it to the finals. Honestly, I low-key don't want us to because I feel like if we do make it to the finals, we would get probably smacked by unless all of a sudden Cade. That's the thing is our team is so predicated on Cade and he can go off at any given time, but I
yeah,
don't know that I would trust him to have like a Jimmy Butler string of games in the playoffs. Because I think that if he were able to do something like that, then with the rest of our team, the way it's constituted, we could win. But that's also asking a lot. I think that's something that only a select few players have been able to do. And Cade might still not even be in his prime yet. So
yeah. No, you're right. Well, another team that's on the upwards trajectory is the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, they just beat the Boston Celtics, who is one of the hottest teams in the East as of today. But yeah, man, 48 and 17. Not necessarily one of the best teams last year, so such a crazy turnaround right now. They're only, I think, like 2 games outside of getting the number one seed in the Western Conference, man. Do you think they can kind of do the impossible and actually run it and get to the finals this year? This is kind of some unprecedented territory that they can potentially get into.
yeah, I mean, I definitely think that they can make it to the finals this year. And if they do make it to the finals, I think they have a really good shot at winning against whoever comes out of the East. They're just, there's a select few players in NBA history who are like, I can tell you just make a team tremendously better just by existing on the court.
Yeah.
Um, and also very few guys where it's like, no, you're going to win a championship. Like there's no way, barring the Spurs just deciding to never put any good players on his team, which is they're already set up for the next couple of years. I just think that it's inevitable that he wins one. So I'm not saying it'll be this year, but I do think they have all the pieces. And Wemby is really just, again, like a one-of-a-kind player. But outside of him, even when he's not scoring, it's like, okay, we have De'Aaron Fox, we have Castle, even Harrison Barnes, he can hit shots. And we have Your guard off the bench, Dylan Harper. Then we have Cornette as our backup center.
Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson.
Devin, exactly those two, and those two can hoop, especially Vassell's.
Sounds tough.
Yeah, Vassell is like to me, uh, like the new Lou Williams in a way. Just of like I know he starts now, but just that type of scorer who will just take kind of like fuck you shots and make them. Um, and that's one of those things of like, honestly, if I compare them to the Spurs of old, when Danny Green was out there, well, of course he's a very different player. Vassell is
Yeah.
better than Danny Green in my opinion. But um when Danny Green was starting to hit all those threes and made them like unbeatable basically. And so that's the same role I feel like Vassell has with this team. Like there was a stretch of games where he was shooting like 80% from three or something like that, and they were blowing people out. Because it's like if we already do all this other stuff, and then he comes in hitting every three that he's taking. Um, so there's just so many variables on that team that I think can swing the tide for them.
Yeah, I agree. They're 27 and 12 against teams with a winning record of 500 and above. Versus the top three teams, they're 7 and 1. And then versus OKC, obviously they've won their matchups, and then Boston, they've won their matchups as well too. And what I've been kind of impressed by is even though they have a few veterans here and there on that team, the core itself is relatively pretty young. But I'm very impressed with the games that they've pulled out, how well they've looked in clutch time, and that's going to be a good indicator of what's to kind of be expected in the playoffs. So at that point, it's just like y'all got a high seed, y'all should be able to get to the conference finals. But obviously, like I said, in the West, that two versus three is something serious. So you could be looking at, playing Denver in the second round. We don't know. Obviously, it's still like 20 games left and whatnot as well too. But I'm gonna see what our coach, Ms. Johnson, is talking about as far as adjustments go. So I mean, we have everything to kind of have that winning formula, and then just to kind of harp on what you said, bro. Like there's just that one player who is the anti-equation and just changes the whole dynamic as well. So they're gonna be hungry. I think they're gonna be locked in. But like I said, it's probably just gonna come down to who gets that third seed. But I think they can get to the conference finals and make some noise. Um, this will be. I feel like I don't remember who the last player was like within their rookie contract that got to the finals as the number one option. Maybe D Wade from like when he played with Shaq or some shit. Obviously, yeah, Shaq and whatnot. But
Mm.
yeah, this is gonna be a good playoffs, man. It's gonna be a good playoffs on both sides. So I'm looking forward to that. Um, do you have any like dark horses? Like if you had to pick one team in the East and one team in the West, that's currently like in the playoff race or whatever, or outside of the playoff race.
I would probably take the Celtics in the East. I'm really torn between the Thunder and the Spurs. I think the Thunder, those two, and it's clear like both of those two teams have the deepest rosters, I feel like. Um, Definitely on their side of the bracket, but potentially in the league. And that's kind of where I just have trouble. Like, I don't know who I would really take because they both just have guys that can just come off the bench and hoop for you, and their stars are gonna show up. Like Shea is gonna show up.
Gonna
Wimby is
show
gonna,
up.
even if it's not all offensively, Wimby is gonna show up. So
Yeah.
I couldn't pick between those two right now.
Okay. Okay. So Tyrese Maxey got sidelined for about 3 weeks due to a tendon injury in the small finger on his right hand. Obviously, the Philadelphia 76ers, are going to be impacted greatly. I think for the longest time they were like the sixth seed, and now they're the eighth seed. And they've been 4-8 in their last 12 games. And obviously, Joel Embiid, I thought it was his knee at first, but I looked it up as his right oblique that's been keeping him out for quite some time. And obviously, with Paul George's suspension, that's not looking good as well too. And then most importantly, as far as if we're talking about like individual success, statistically, this was Tyrese Maxey's best season thus far, averaging almost 30 points, 7 assists, and leading the league in minutes at 38. But because he's supposed to be sidelined for up to like the next 3 weeks, he will not be eligible for any major awards, which kind of sucks as well. But
Mm.
yeah, what are your thoughts on, I guess his injury and I guess the state of the 76ers?
Well, I feel like this. this game minimum thing like strikes again. It's just been really bad this year
Yeah.
because all the stars keep getting injured. And it just sucks to see that they're not going to get, because I don't care. Like if you play 64 games and you are demonstrably better than 90% of the league in those 64 games, you should be in an all NBA ballot. Like that to me is just really insane. But um, I think this is kind of like one of those. I don't know what the Sixers have done, but they have had probably the worst injury luck out of any franchise in the past like 13 years. Even you look at Embiid, but Embiid it like started off immediately. He missed his first 2 years. Who was it also? Nerlens Noel had to miss his first year. Jahlil Okafor tore his meniscus in his first year. Markelle Fultz had whatever injury. Ben Simmons in his back. Paul George all of last season. Also Embiid last season, the season before, and the season before. Now you got Maxey out all these games. Like, and oh, who is it? The lone bright spot of their year last year, Jared McCain, he tore his meniscus. Like, it's really insane. If you if you look back at this shit, bro,
If you
it's
ain't
really
saying that, I
nuts.
wouldn't even. Damn.
Yeah. So I don't
Mm.
know what they did. I couldn't tell you, but maybe it's all the racism in the city of Philadelphia. I don't know. Maybe it's some ghosts that are of the slaves from the old times is coming out and just injuring niggas on the court. I couldn't tell you, but it's nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts. I still think they'll be in like at least playing and probably get like the probably like the eighth seed, but yeah, that shit just sucks, man. All that wasted potential, bruh. All that wasted potential speaks to the plays that they decide to invest in, speaks to their coaching staff, more so like on the house side, so their athletic team or whatever. And yeah, you might be right with that other chunk. They might just be cursed, bro. They might just be cursed. So I think after this season, bro, I mean, you can't. The thing is, you can't even trade Paul George. He has no value, and he's gotten paid too much. I think a team would try to get Joel Embiid. I don't know who would try to take that swing, but it's just like, damn, in a perfect world, you would like to just truly have it built around their young assets, especially with Tyrese Maxey and VJ, and then just kind of start over. But knowing those contracts and how outdated they are, they might be cooked for quite some time. Quite some time. Um, Moving over to the NFL, Carl Conyers, I'm so excited to hear your takes on all these things. We can start with the first one, which I thought was going to be a major banger notification with Max Crosby supposed to be going to the Baltimore Ravens. But boy, oh boy, uh, as I was watching one of the games earlier, I got a notification. And apparently it happened way before, but I just wasn't paying attention. But apparently he failed his physical. So the Ravens backed out of an agreement after Crosby reportedly failed his physical in Baltimore. Obviously, Max Crosby underwent knee surgery following the 2025 season and was not yet fully healthy, which apparently raised significant red flags during the team's medical evaluation as well, too. So he's still going to be on that team, man. But damn, just when I thought motherfuckers was about to praise the Baltimore Ravens, that doesn't work out. And I think from that trade, they were going to receive two future first round picks, including the number 14th this year, and then their 2027 pick as well, too. So what are your thoughts, Carl Conyers, on this trade getting botched, getting nixed?
I mean, this is crazy. It really is. I do get, because in order to, it's like the team has to fail you basically for a physical. And they were giving up. I saw someone put it perfectly of like, okay, if we just had to pay $1 million to get Max Crosby, cool, yeah, we would have whatever. But knowing the price that they're giving up in order to get him, the risk from whatever they saw in the medical stuff, like two first round picks for a 29-year-old, it is like, and your knee doesn't look as good as you want it to look. So I think he'll probably be fine wherever he plays next year. I think it was probably one of those things of they were worried more so about the long term of it. Like if we're giving up two first round picks, we want more than one season of you. And also I think the biggest thing that not a lot of people are talking about is the ripple effect that this is now going to cause because the Raiders were operating under the assumption that this trade was going to go through. So they just signed a bunch of people on the, well, that's also the thing is like nobody can actually technically sign until tomorrow,
Yeah.
well, Wednesday at like 4 p.m. Eastern. So everything is kind of just like verbal agreements at this point. But they have agreements in with a lot of other players on these deals that were predicated on them having X amount of money off their books because of this Max Crosby trade. And also the things that they addressed were because like, okay, we're thinking we're going to have two first round picks in this draft and next draft. So
Yeah.
like that just fucked up their whole strategy. Now players are probably going to have to go back into free agency that weren't unless they're able to find another trade partner for Max. And like,
Damn, I didn't think about that.
yeah, so there's just a lot of stuff that's now kind of in flux. And also now it's like the Ravens missed out on being able to
Potential
sign some of
signings.
these other
Yeah.
people or make a trade for Rashawn Gary or stuff like that because they're thinking that they're fine. So that's the thing is, like people are like, oh, the Ravens nixed the trade, but it's clearly not like they wanted to do that either. So it just kind of fucks both teams, and it's going to be interesting to see how this comes out. But I am sick because I thought him on the Ravens was going to be really dope.
Yeah, the thing is, I wasn't really paying attention to the Raiders too much, so I didn't even know like he had a injury slash surgery until I think I went on his profile on Instagram and saw like he had some knee brace on or some shit like that. But my other question to you is like knowing that he's recovering, like why still even? I mean, I guess because of the upside, but why still even take that gamble knowing he's not even fully healthy right now?
I mean, I think now more than likely the asking price for him will probably come down a little bit.
Hmm.
So I think, I mean, there was clearly like the Cowboys were just ready to give up a first round pick. There'll be plenty of teams that would give up one first round pick and something else, to get him. So, um, yeah, I think it's one of those things the Ravens weren't willing to take the chance, but there will be plenty of other teams that would be willing to take that chance, especially maybe if it's a team that does not as close to contention or is not like, trying to win the Super Bowl next year. Because also another thing is they're saying the Cowboys might back out of their trade for Rashawn Gary and try and now get Max Crosby. So
Mm,
see, I don't
yeah.
know, man.
So, in other words, the Ravens are going to be cooked next season.
They might be because they lost a lot of people through free agency already.
I wonder how much cap space they got to try to get the nigga who thinks he's LeBron now. I'm going to make my decision tomorrow. And what's his name? Trey, what's his name? Hendrickson?
Hendrickson?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't even see he said that.
Yeah. I was like, all right, this nigga think he Brian. But anyways, moving on to our new topic. Um, the newest Atlanta Falcon is Tua. He's reportedly agreed to join the Atlanta Falcons on a 1 year, $1.3 million veterans minimum. And as far as like the breakdown, Atlanta pays the league minimum, so he's still due 54 million in guaranteed money from the Dolphins, which is crazy. And his release results in an NFL record of 99.2 million dead cap hit for Miami, which they plan to split over 2 seasons as well too. Obviously, with Tua, he's been in the NFL since the 2020 season. He was with them from 2020 2025 with the Miami Dolphins. 18,166 yards, 120 touchdowns, 59 interceptions, 68% completion percentage. But obviously, having various injuries, primarily concussions and rib issues, kind of, you know, had him, miss and not be available for, at least 11 of those 35 games as well, too. But it's a new environment, Carl Conyers. I know how you have, we've talked about Tua from time to time, but what are your thoughts on him being in Atlanta now?
Um, I mean, I don't know. I think it's tough because the Falcons now their quarterback room consists of a guy who doesn't have knees and has had like 8 knee surgeries and a guy who doesn't have a brain anymore. Unfortunately, but we've seen Tua get rocked and knocked out like multiple times on national television. Where the point where which I've never heard of this before. Niggas was calling for him to retire. They were like, "Hey, bro, we think you should just step aside because like this is crazy." People in the media were like, "Tua should retire." So that being your one and two options, which granted, I think they probably think that Penix is going to miss most of this next season. But yeah, just in general, not excited for them at QB. But in terms of like just a replacement level quarterback, because you need somebody this year while Penix is injured, Tua can be that. You just have to hope that he also can stay healthy. But it's also like, quarterback is not like they have a bunch of options either at that position. So they're paying him the minimum. I can't be too mad at it, especially when, teams were starting Kenny Pickett and Justin Fields and some of these other really terrible players. So he'll at least definitely be better than that. Again, it's just about if he's going to be able to stay on the field.
Mm, yeah, under Coach Stefanski as well too. That shit gonna be funny if they have like, oh, we're gonna split reps to see who's gonna be starting off. Yeah, I hope he does well. I mean, it looks like obviously like there's no comparison whatsoever, as far as like leading up to getting released from a team itself, with him and Russell Wilson, but it's gonna be that kind of situation. It's like if you don't do well in the absence of the quarterback you invested in before him, then after that he's just gonna be a backup quarterback for the rest of his career, which he low key should be because that's a lot of brain damage right there, and who knows what's gonna happen years from now and reports from now in the future. But moving on from that. Mike Evans is on a new journey. He's agreed to a 3-year, $60.4 million contract with the San Francisco 49ers and his legendary 12-season tenure with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So yeah, the agreement was reached. I was kind of shocked. So he's going to be leaving Tampa Bay as the franchise all-time leading receiver with 13,052 yards, and he's one of only two players, along with Jerry Rice, to start a career with 11 consecutive 1,000 yard seasons. Man, what are your thoughts on Mike Evans finally going to a different team?
I think it's crazy. I didn't expect that to happen, but I do, considering the new team was the 49ers, I do understand it. And I think he actually compared it to what happened with Tom Brady. He was like, Tom Brady, you never thought he would leave the Patriots. He did, and then he went on to win another Super Bowl. So I think it's one of those, I spent my whole career here, did great things for them, won y'all a Super Bowl here. Time for me to try and put myself first because I don't think the Bucks are going to really be in Super Bowl contention next year. And also at the same time, even if they are, they have Ibuka looks like he's going to be their new number one. And I think it was kind of one of those things too, where if he had stayed there, he probably would have had to go into maybe more of like a number two spot or at
Mm,
least share that number one spot. So this is putting him in a place where he's going to be the clear-cut number one. And to me, I think this honestly might be the best wide receiver that uh Purdy has had. I know everyone called them the Avengers when they had, C-Mac, Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think that Debo only had one 1,000 yard season. Ayuk had two, but to me, neither of them are nearly as good as Mike Evans, even at this age. So I think that's going to be great for him, that offense. Christian McCaffrey, as long as he can stay healthy, will produce at a decent level. They still have Kittle. Yeah, I think they're going to be good next year with this too.
Mm. Think he gonna win the division?
It's tough. I don't know. It's a tough division, man, but
Because the
I
guy
think
we about to talk about next, he gone. So they got to fill that void. And I think the backup that they had, he's coming off knee surgery. But then we're going to talk about another player that's on another team within the division. So, I mean, they're one game behind getting the number one overall seed. That one game, week 17. Um, but yeah, I think they should be favorites as of right now. We'll see. So the Super Bowl MVP joins the baby goat, in which you call him Patrick Mahomes. And I'm talking about Kenneth Walker, reportedly agreed to a 3-year, $45 million contract with the Kansas City Chiefs. So yeah, I want to turn things over to you, man. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, tore his ACL late December. Football niggas come back way faster than, and then, basketball players as well too. So I'm expecting he'll be back by, who knows, maybe by middle of the season. He said, and he reported that he the goal is to be ready by the start of the season, but you never know how rehab and your body reacts to everything as well too. But he is young, so he has that youth on his side, and he do got some melanin in his body as well too. But what are your thoughts on Kenneth Walker coming to a new team after this good run he had with the Seattle Seahawks?
I mean, I think this is great. The Chiefs. You have
I
a
hate it.
down year, you don't make the playoffs, but now you have a higher draft pick and you were able to, I mean, running back had been a literal black hole for them, and they were still competing, going to Super Bowls, like, of course, outside of last year. So this is going to be probably his best running back since when he had early Kareem Hunt. Um, and I think that just opens up a whole new dynamic for this team. Like Kenneth Walker is really good. And his stats in the playoff run last year actually showed it. And even though he has decent stats in the regular season, I think those are also capped by the fact that they decided they were going to give Charbonnet like all the goal line work and a lot of kind of finishing off drives that Kenneth Walker had started. So I think it's a huge get for the Chiefs, and I think it's a perfect situation for him. If you're gonna leave Seattle, I think that this is probably the only place, not the only place, but one of the few places that is an upgrade.
Yeah. And like I said, even if this is like a sacrifice year, the fact that they have him on a 3-year deal, and like you said, they still have their top pick this year. They're gonna be dangerous. If it's not next season, they're gonna come back. So fuck the Chiefs, because we ain't really been doing shit like that yet. But I'm happy for him at the end of the day as well too. Like I said, I can't remember the last Super Bowl MVP that like essentially didn't get re-signed, didn't get a re-up with their money on that specific team, and whatnot as well too. So yeah, maybe Kawhi Leonard as far as sports go. Don't want to run it back, but team ain't want to pay. But Kawhi just ain't want to be there. But yeah, man. So you think Patrick Mahomes, has a high chance of, coming back, at some point next season, or you think he gonna sit out?
Oh, he's definitely gonna come back at some point next season. I think the question is just when. But
And
kind of
yeah,
like you said, he's trying to come back early. I think maybe it would be he might miss the first 2 or 3 games, but I think from the things that he's saying and the things that I've seen so far, it'll probably be towards the uh first quarter of the season that he comes back.
yeah, man. And their division has gotten a little bit stronger, man. Obviously, the Raiders are going to be a work in progress, but they have all the kind of tools to make that, turn around within like the next 2 seasons, kind of like how the New England Patriots have done this year to get to the Super Bowl. But after that, you got the Chargers, who I expect to, have that repeating regular season success, and then Denver with Bo Nix coming back. I expect that as well too. So, ideally, if I mean, like you say, he's gonna come back regardless. But if you want to be in that contending contention, because obviously first and foremost it comes to winning your division, he would have to, like you said, come back within like those that first quarter of the season. So that's going to be something to kind of watch, whenever the season does start. So as a fan of just the game itself, I hope he does come back 100% because I wouldn't want to have it any other way if it's meant for us to win. And I want to get through. I want to get through all the top tier quarterbacks and top coaches in the league. So prayers up for Patrick Mahomes. And like I said, once again, congratulations to Kenneth Walker on a hell of a year and a hell of a signing as well too. Carl Conyers, do you think my Bills finally found their number one receiver, bro? We got DJ Moore, and we traded up a 2026 second, was it second round pick? Second round pick. But what are your thoughts on this, man? Or should I just talk?
I'll just go real quick. I mean, I think it's a good trade for you guys. The best receiver you've had since Stephon Diggs for sure. And I think for like the money that he's making, it's a good trade overall. Like you guys needed somebody who was like legitimate number one, Shakir and clearly Keon Coleman and some of these other guys. And I think they'll still probably try and draft a wide receiver, but that hadn't worked out for them, so you can't bank on that. So I think this is the same as what the Chiefs did. Like you had a glaring hole, and that glaring hole had hurt you at times in these past couple of years. So you just went and addressed it, and I think you went and addressed it in a. I think the Chiefs probably their running back or their replacement is probably a higher level than the receiver you got, but I think he's still a number one receiver.
Yeah. As a fan, it's just like obviously I know his name holds, some pretty good weight in the NFL, but I guess we were so outraged at how this season was from wide receiver room like production level. I was just like when I saw him, I was like, I don't know if I should feel. I don't feel happy, like super ecstatic, but I don't feel mad. I'm just kind of like even keel because I just want to see how the rest of free agency kind of pans out as well too. But looks like he used to be with Joe Brady back when he was with the Panthers, and obviously with the Panthers, that's when he had one of his best years. This year, I looked at his stats. He had 50 receptions for 682 yards, but they said that was kind of mostly attributed to them just having a crowded ass receiving room in
Yeah.
the offensive scheme. Under, their head coach and offense coordinator was a little bit different, and then obviously the inconsistencies at times with a young quarterback in Caleb. So Josh definitely found his number one for now. I don't think he's a true number one, but I think he has the potential to be a number one, getting 1,000 yards and 100 receptions and whatnot as well too. Especially going from playing with Caleb to going playing with Josh. So I'm excited to see what kind of happens. I still don't like our wide receiving room as a whole. I mean, I love Khalil Shakir. I think he's a true slot receiver, but I want another outside threat, right? Right now under roster, Gabe Davis ACL injury, Tyler Shavers injury. We don't know about Brandon Cooks. You and I already talked about that, so no need to bring that up. And Joshua Palmer, although showed flashes of being a competent receiver, he was pretty injury prone. So can he stay healthy? And then Keon Coleman, who we drafted, who our fucking owner kind of threw under the bus to an extent as well too. Like, are you gonna come back and prove to me that you can kind of like get shit done? Are you gonna reach out for that additional help? Because he has the physical tools, but let's try to match the mental with the physical, and I think things will be good. But from what I've seen when I looked at tape with Moore, um, kind of a Swiss Army knife as far as like being able to kind of get those yards after a catch. He kind of reminds me of that Debo Samuels in a sense. I mean, not post, while he was with the 49ers as well too. He seems like he's relatively pretty durable, and I think he's has some versatility in his route running. So he can play inside and he can play outside as well too. And he's good at least from playing with Caleb Williams, when I've seen when he has to kind of go off script. I think Josh Allen is the perfect guy to kind of pair with him as well too. So I think, like I said, I'm even keel about it. But like I said, I just want to see what moves we make and who, if Keon Coleman kind of steps up to the plate. But I don't know how much cap space we got left, but I think we still got moves to make. But I just want to go all in on defense with whoever we have left. But we've always kind of been that way. I mean, the last two times we try to get a good pass rusher. Obviously, Von Miller when he was still in his prime, but tore his ACL, so we never got to see that through. And when he came back, he was a shell of himself. And then Joey Bosa, who was kind of on his last leg, didn't really do too much for us, and he was still productive, but not to what used to be. So
Yeah.
I just want to see how everything kind of comes along. But yeah, like you said, this is definitely an upgrade from Stephon Diggs. So we'll see what happens. And like I said, I hope he stays healthy.
Dang, man.
Yeah, man. So what else was I about to talk about with you as well, man? Yeah, Trent McDuffie, man. Trent McDuffie becomes the well, first of all, Trent McDuffie is now in the Los Angeles Rams. And basically it was a blockbuster trade. The Kansas City Chiefs finalized this. And then I think the Rams are going to acquire him. He's still 25 years old, all pro. The Rams set a package of draft picks in Kansas City. So 2026 first round pick, 2026 fifth round pick, sixth round pick, and 2027 a third round pick as well too. But like you said before, when we were watching the conference championship game, the secondary was kind of cooked. And now they look like they kind of shored that up. But what are your thoughts on this deal getting done and the state of the Rams moving forward?
I mean, I think it's a good deal for the Rams. You're getting a lockdown corner. Um, it just makes them more serious. I think that was kind of a point of contention or an issue for them last year was their defense. So in the offense, you have Matthew Stafford, you have Devontae Adams, you have Puka Nacua, you have Kyron Williams. That's fine. Like that's you're set with that. So at this point, it is continually about what can we do to improve this defense and going out and getting one of the best DBs out there is, a great way to start. And I think they ended up signing another DB who was off of the Chiefs as well. So
Damn.
They're kind of remaking their backfield, and that's why I was like, it's tough for me to say that the 49ers are going to win their division because they have the
True.
Seahawks and they have the Rams in their division. So
True.
I think that to me, the Rams are another one of my early Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I also was just kind of thinking about like with how successful the 49ers were, knowing they had all those injuries, I'm expecting them to come back to see. But yeah, they're gonna be neck and neck, man. That's gonna be an exciting division to watch next year for sure. Any other, notable moves that you care to talk about, want to talk about?
Um, I mean, I feel like I mentioned a couple during the show, the Cowboys, Rashawn Gary, and some of these other moves. I think for me right now, it'll be interesting to see if anything, if there are any ripple effects really from this Max Crosby, if certain teams decide to renege on deals or if they decide to change things around before we get to the official period tomorrow. Um, but yeah, nothing else.
Yeah, I guess I mean, we won't, this will already be out by now, but I want to see where Trey Hendrickson goes. Um, Obviously, I want to get him, but we're probably not because we be so. I mean, we've been known to spend money, but the last two signs, like I said, for pass rush, just like didn't turn out well. So it feels like we're just gonna try to develop our players that we drafted last year and just get ready for the draft this year as well too. Outside of that, I think we picked up some cornerback. I don't even know the nigga's name. We picked up some cornerback from the Falcons, who picked off Josh Allen. I think he had 3 or 4 interceptions last year as well too. I'm just like, I'm looking at your tape. Obviously, I don't play football, never play football, but I'm like, all right, man, what we doing, man? Stop being. I like the Rams, yo. The Rams. They only got to one Super Bowl. Well, they got to two Super Bowls during Sean McVay era. But when they won that Super Bowl, they just went in and said, "Fuck it, we gonna pack up the farm and we gonna bringing people through trades and free agency. Like I want us to just splurge, man. Now's the time. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it is what it is. Losers gonna lose if they keep that losing mentality. You know what I'm saying?
The
Oh,
Oh, I did one thing was the Alec Pierce contract. I don't know if we talked about it last show, but I do think it's really crazy that he got like 4 years, 100, 104, is either 140 or 114, had a four in it. I don't know. He made way too much money. I think it's really crazy. He had 47 catches last year. I guess they want him to be their number one now. I think he's good, but I don't
what?
think that he's that good.
You right. That's crazy. Damn.
How much do you see how much it says?
Yeah. Well, I was not well, 4 year, 116 million, which is crazy. 84 million guaranteed. No, 84 million in total guarantees with 60 million fully guaranteed. He's gonna be making 28.5 towards the cap. And yeah, like you said, 47 receptions. Had 6 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, but only played 15 games. But yeah, we're gonna see. Cause with the Colts, I ain't really paid too much attention to him. So now I want to go to see his tape to see if he has that capability. Like what's his name? Njigba?
He definitely does not. Like he doesn't have a full route tree. I think that's what they're hoping he'll start to develop and work. He's really like a deep threat. That's why he's able to
Okay.
make 1,000 yards on 40 something catches.
Yeah, that's all I was saying. I was wondering what type of player he was. I'm like, all right, it's okay, so a
Yeah,
deep threat.
but there's still room for him to see if he can develop that. I don't think he's a complete enough receiver to be that getting as paid
Yeah.
as much as he is. But hey,
Yeah, go get paid, brother. From another mother. So if you were Kyler Murray, man, where would you try to have your eyes at?
I don't even know where is a great spot for him. I think I've heard some people talk about the Vikings. Um, which is just to me is more sad about JJ McCarthy because he's not injured, it's just like they think that Kyler would be able to beat him out. I don't know if I would want to go into that situation because unless they told me that I would have really a shot at actually a QB competition, but if that is the case, then I think that would be a really good position for him to be in because then you have Justin Jefferson who would be better than any receiver that you ever had while you were with the Cardinals, and just an overall better receiving core. So.
What about the Colts? You like that? Because didn't Dan Jones tore his Achilles, right?
Yes, I mean Daniel Jones is going to be out. I mean, I think yeah, that'd be a good situation as well. You have, Alec Pierce and Jonathan
Jonathan
Taylor. So I
Taylor.
think that would definitely be a good situation because you just need some games to prove for another team to potentially want to sign you next year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we'll see. Any closing remarks?
Yeah, no, just ready to see how the rest of this first couple of days of free agency goes, and we'll see when we're back next week.
We'll see when we're back next week, ladies and gentlemen. That was 175, the Season Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Season Show, at Sir Caesar, at Carl Conyers. We out.